So before we get into the main subject of the video, which is a response to Team APS's video, which is talking about the YGO Zombie player, the first thing I will say, which will carry out throughout this video, and especially towards the video where I provide a solution to the problems here to the game, is stop buying Yu-Gi-Oh products, and especially stop collecting. If you are not happy with the current state of the game, I know it might be something that you've always done. I know it's something that you've always collected and that you enjoy and has a huge nostalgia factor to it. But part of the Yu-Gi-Oh Zombie phenomena is a player who is not happy with the game but continues to play and continues to consume product. You are part of the problem. You are the main problem. The people who are enjoying the game, more power to you. Buy it, have fun. If this is how you like the game and you want to continue to support and see the game this way, more power to you. You're doing the right thing. If you're not happy and you're spending money collecting and you're buying boxes even though you don't play and you're involved heavily in the community and investing in it even though you're not happy, you are the problem and you need to stop doing that. So the YGO Zombie or the YGO Zombie phenomena is something that I saw coined, I think for the first time, during the Pot of Greed, the Team APS podcast. I think Alec is the first one that talked about this, and then Paul actually made a video about it. I originally disagreed with Paul. I didn't quite understand what he meant at first with his video, and later I interpreted different. I really kind of grasped what he was trying to say. To an extent, I still disagree with him, and to another extent, I tend to agree with him. So the YGO Zombie is essentially a person that is going through life and going through the Yu-Gi-Oh sphere, even though they're extremely unhappy with the game. They have nothing good to say, and they're just this dark cloud in everybody's life at tournaments, at events, and things like that. It's not somebody that necessarily is criticizing the game, like I tend to fall in that category, but this is why I don't only talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! I tend to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Still in this channel a lot because of popular request. A lot of people are subscribed to this channel for Yu-Gi-Oh! So I tend to talk about it. I'm extremely passionate about it too, and I miss the way the game used to be, so I talk about it a lot. I make content. But I do see what Paul is saying. There is a group of people who tend to go to these Yu-Gi-Oh! Events, locals, world, nationals, whatever it is, and they're just constantly dissatisfied with the state of the game, bringing everybody down and talking about how much they hate the current game and they miss the old game. But for whatever reason, they seem to not move on from the game. They continue supporting the company. They continue buying product. They continue collecting, but they're not happy. I think that this person that falls under all these categories that I mentioned is one of the biggest problems with the current community and one of the biggest problems with the game and one of the reasons the game doesn't get better. And if you fall in this category, you need to stop. And I've been guilty of this before to some extent. I'm especially guilty with this with Master Duel because I still consume the product, even though I'm not super thrilled with the game, and I haven't been for years now. But we need to stop doing it, which is why I no longer spend any money on Master Duel. I don't spend any money on Yu-Gi-Oh! I've sold most of my cards. I do not support the company anymore, and I'm going to explain why I think that this is important and why I think it's such a huge problem. The Yu-Gi-Oh community is one of the only communities that I see that doesn't let go of the game. They don't move on and they don't stop supporting the creator here, Konami, the company that owns the game, or is responsible for making the game at least. They don't stop supporting the company even though they're extremely unhappy. And you gotta understand that in the world we live in, the only way to vote is with your dollars. You can make videos criticizing the game. Konami's never gonna see them. You can have your opinions. Konami's never gonna listen to you. Shoot, the community is not gonna listen to you. The community is super toxic and is kind of fed up with people like me and a lot of people probably like you, if you fall under that category, that are constantly criticizing the game that they enjoy. You gotta understand that a lot of people do enjoy the current game. A lot of people don't. Most people and even YouTubers that I watch don't enjoy the game anymore. They continue to produce content and play the game only because they've made a livelihood out of this, so they don't really have a choice. So I think the YouTubers are part of the problem, even though I watch a lot of them and I consume the content, and I do like a lot of them, especially Team APS, that's probably my favorite. I do think that these content creators are part of the problem because they are trying to hype the game. They are trying to promote the game, even though the game is broken, it's not fun anymore, and even they admit that they're not having fun with the current game. A lot of these content creators have said multiple times, I don't like the current game, I'm not enjoying it, I need a break, I don't like that they did this, I don't like the format, I don't like this and that, and they continue to promote it and do videos for it. Well, why I mean, you can't blame them, right? It's their livelihood at this point. This is why this channel will never become a Yu-Gi-Oh exclusive channel. That's why I don't want to be a Yu-Gi-Tuber. I don't want to lie about how I feel about the game. I don't want to promote a game that I'm not enjoying. And I think that ultimately that's negative, promoting something that actually shouldn't be promoted, and they should take a huge financial hit to learn to stop shunning the old school players and people that enjoy these older formats and the anime fans in general. The problem with this community is so many people are unhappy with the state of the game, but they don't stop playing. And not only do they not stop playing, they don't stop spending money. I understand if you don't want to stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! I will never stop playing Yu-Gi-Oh! No matter what. I will always play alternative formats. That's why Dueling Book exists. It's completely free. You can play Edison and Goat till your heart's content. Do that. Do not spend money on the game if you're not happy with it, because what you're doing is you're signaling and supporting the company to continue doing what they're doing. Do not participate in competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! And I'm sorry, even if you're a competitive player and you don't hate the current format, do you enjoy Snake Eyes format? Did you enjoy Tier Limits format? Did you enjoy Cash Tier format? If you are the 1 in a million people that seem to fall in that category, because I don't know any of those people, frankly, but I know that they're out there on Reddit. If you are those people, continue doing exactly what you're doing, because it is your right. If you enjoy the game, who am I to tell you what you should and shouldn't do? If you like the way the game has changed, if you enjoyed the formats that are coming out, continue to support the game. But for everyone else, every time you buy that $1,000 Snake Eye meta deck, every time you buy that Tier Limits deck, you are telling the developer to not change their business model. Even if you like the current game, I think that the vast majority of people will agree that Tier 0 formats in Yu-Gi-Oh! Are cancerous. They're not good for the game. And the problem that I have with Konami is I've seen this pattern with their business model that is essentially go ahead and release a new deck that will redefine and shape the meta around it. No other deck is viable other than Snake Eye, other than Tier Limits, other than Kashtira. This is the only viable deck in the current format that is shaped around it. And eventually they'll go ahead and they'll ban it. So all that money that you spent on that deck, they're going to ban it down so that it's not as viable, and then they will go ahead and make a new one that is going to replace that. It's going to be extremely expensive, and it's going to again reshape the meta around it. Then you're going to buy it, then they're going to ban it, then they're going to make a new one, then you're going to buy it, they're going to ban it and make a new one. And this cycle just never ends, where they specifically and purposely, because of power creep, because of the business model, continue to print new decks that are completely broken and completely redefine and outclass the entire meta, so that you have no choice. But if you want to compete, you have to buy and partake in it. So I am encouraging you, if you are not happy with the current game, if you're not happy with the meta, even if you enjoy the game but you don't want to support this business model, stop competing. Stop buying Yu-Gi-Oh! Product. I urge you, this is the only way we're going to fix this. Complaining on Reddit, complaining on YouTube, videos like mine, none of this is going to make a difference at all. The only difference you can make is a personal difference in your life, where you find friends to, like Paul says, make your own fun and make your own formats, play with your own friends, play Dueling Book and these time capsule formats like Goat and Edison. Do that, and or stop supporting the company altogether, because the moment that sales suffer, they will start having to appeal back to people that still want to play the game. They will start testing new things out, and based on you purchasing and spending is how they're going to decide that the game is going to move forward. The game is not changing, the game is getting worse and worse because people continue to support it. And because people like the YGO Zombie exist. I don't have a problem with people that like the current game and support it because of the way it is. That is not the person that is the focus of the video. They are not the problem. Because the truth is you have the right to like the current game. Fun is subjective, and if you like it, you should support it because you want to see more of the way things are going on now. But if in any way you are unhappy with the game, or you fall in the YGO Zombie category, the YGO Zombie category, where you're just passively floating through existence, going to these events, playing the game, buying these boxes, maybe you don't even play and you just collect, and you're going through the motions because it's something you've always done, stop being that person, because you're voting with your dollar and you're telling them to continue releasing more of this, and the game will not change. It will only change when the game stops being popular. It will only change when it hurts their wallet. Now, one thing I will say, a lot of people, I've seen them say, oh, this is sunken cost fallacy. I know that in my case, it's not sunken cost fallacy, right? I've sold most of my physical Yu-Gi-Oh! And I know that a lot of people have, and if they didn't, they've only have the collection, like nostalgia cards. They don't have current decks. But I do know that a lot of people buy boxes just for the sake of collecting. Stop doing that. You're supporting the company and you're supporting the thing that you don't like. I've seen a lot of people also call it an addiction. I don't like when people call it an addiction. As somebody who has struggled with alcohol, has struggled with smoking, and has quit that in over 4 years, and it was generally one of the hardest things I've had to do with my life, comparing these serious substance addictions with something like Yu-Gi-Oh! To me, I'm not going to say it's insulting. I don't want to gatekeep addiction, right? But it's not quite the same thing. I don't think that people are not moving on from Yu-Gi-Oh! Because they're addicted. I'm sure some people are, but I think some people are like me, where they have such good and intimate memories of their childhood and their adolescence tied into this game that is hard to exit the community. They will always be involved in the community in some way, like me, because it's such a defining part of your childhood and life. Yu-Gi-Oh! Holds some of my best childhood memories. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is responsible for some of the most fun times I've had growing up. That is not something that I can just let go. It is not something that I can stop talking about. And I'm never going to stop being mad about it or doing videos on it or criticizing it or playing alternative formats. I will never do that because it is such a defining part of my life. I can, however, stop supporting the company. I can, however, stop giving them money. And that is what I encourage you to do. Paul is saying you need to make your own fun. That's what Team APS was saying. Yu-Gi-Oh! Is kind of a make it your own fun game. You have to get a group of friends, which, hey, a lot of people don't have that group of friends, right? Which is why I think it's important for this to happen in Master Duel. But get your own friends and make your own formats. Do that. But dude, the reality is people like different formats. Most of my friends don't like Yu-Gi-Oh! And don't play Yu-Gi-Oh! And the little few ones that do disagree on what they want to play or don't want anything to do with Yu-Gi-Oh! At all anymore. Or they like the current game and they just want to play the current game. Or if you go to card shops, the vast majority of card shops I've been in different states, there is no Yu-Gi-Oh! Not only do they not sell Yu-Gi-Oh! A lot of them, but mostly what I see is Flesh and Blood and Warhammer, and occasionally Magic the Gathering Commander format. Nobody is playing Yu-Gi-Oh! It's not like you can just go to a card shop and play Edison with someone. It doesn't work like that. Not that many people play this game anymore. So it's not that simple as to make your own kitchen table fun with Yu-Gi-Oh! It is not that simple. So a better solution, I think, guys, is go ahead and play Dueling Book. It's completely free. You can play Edison and Goat, and you can still enjoy the game at a time that you want to still be a part of, be involved in the community, in the art, podcast, YouTube, and things like that. That is all fine. I am part of all that, and I don't blame you. But what I really am trying to emphasize and make a point here is every time you collect, every time you spend money on the game, even though you're unhappy with the game, you continue to put money into Master Duel, you continue to buy a box for whatever reason, even though you don't play, you're competing even though you're not happy with the state of the game, man, you need to stop. You're part of the problem. You're the reason why they continue doing things the way that they're doing. You're the reason why they're neglecting the old school players, because a lot of old school players play the current game because it's the next best thing, but they're not super happy. So the company interprets that as, okay, this equals sales, therefore it's working. Therefore, let's do more of this. Stop. My wish is that people stop giving Konami money, because that is the only way that things would change. But it's not my place to tell people not only what to do, but what is fun and what isn't. So I say, for the people that are enjoying the game, for the people that like the current format and enjoy the competitive scene, you're doing exactly what you should be doing. You should support the things that you enjoy financially. But if you are in this category where you're just a zombie, where you're passively part of the community, you're passively going through the motions, you're competing even though you're not happy, you're spending money and collecting even though you're not happy, hoping to grasp and get some of that nostalgia of the game that you once used to love, I'm sorry to tell you, it is never going to come back. And if it has any chance of coming back at all, and if there's any chance that they will ever listen to us as a company, is if we vote with our dollars. So stop spending money and stop supporting Yu-Gi-Oh! That is the only way this will change. No video, no opinion, no Reddit post, no nothing you do is going to change. The only thing that can help change this is if they lose sales. The only thing that you can do is vote with your wallet.